I'd like to welcome all of you to this 5th annual Isabelle Rapin Symposium on Communication Disorders. You know, I think most of you are probably not aware of the fact, and we celebrated the Ullman Building's 50th anniversary last year. We're actually now at the 50th anniversary of the Rose F. Kennedy Center. And for those of you who are not from here, the Kennedy Building, the Kennedy Center, is just about a 5-minute walk off in this direction here. Groundbreaking for that building was in 1966. Rose Kennedy and Bobby Kennedy were here for that groundbreaking. Of course, many of you know the Kennedy family was really very, very heavily involved in mental retardation research and patient care because of their Rose and Joseph Kennedy's daughter, Rosemarie, who was defined in those days with the term mental retardation. And it was in the early days of the Kennedy administration that the National Institute for Child Health and Human Development was established. And as part of that, they established a series of what were called mental retardation centers around the country. The Rose F. Kennedy Center was one of those very first centers that was developed. And the idea was that finally families, not just wealthy families like the Kennedys, but regardless of one's income and so forth, if you had a child that was mentally retarded, there would be a place where you could go, and there would be a place where, and the Kennedys stressed this, Joseph Kennedy in particular in those early days, a place where research on intellectual disability, mental retardation, could be pursued. So next year, we're actually going to host a symposium on the 50th anniversary of the Kennedy Center, looking back over the remarkable things that have happened in that building since it was established. Doors opened in 1970. One of the things, of course, that happened was that it provided the fertile ground when Dom Purpura became director, the second director of the Kennedy Center, really provided the fertile ground for the establishment of the Department of Neuroscience. And again, as some of our locals certainly know, we're now under Cameron Kadaka's leadership, we're in a renaissance of neuroscience here at Einstein as well. And if you've walked through the Kennedy Center recently, you know the floors are being replaced and the walls are being painted and new rooms or common spaces are being established to try to make it actually a little bit more like the Price Center in some ways. And we're really quite enthusiastic about this renaissance of neuroscience. But today we're here to celebrate our 5th Isabelle Rapin conference. And Isabelle, as always, it's just so wonderful that you could be with us today. And I hope you'll have some time to spend a few minutes with our speakers during the coffee break and otherwise, because I know they would like to speak with you. In some ways, our topic today, tuberous sclerosis, really is the epitome of what we have, what these mental retardation centers were really set up to pursue. It's a disease, the condition that was described first, I think, as far back as the 1880s, and then it was over a century before the genes were cloned and insights were developed. It probably represents, as well as any other condition of this type, what modern science can do, all the way to the point of leading us to potential therapies for the condition. And we're going to hear about all of that today, because our goal in these Rapin conferences, again, inspired certainly through my own personal experience with Isabelle, is number one, to put a human face on these conditions for the basic scientists who attend the session, and then, of course, also to remind the clinicians who are here of the richness of the biology of these diseases and how much we can learn, not just about the diseases themselves, but also about just normal biology of cells. And tuberous sclerosis, again, you'll hear as we go through today with the speakers that we have, just what rich territory this is in that respect. So we have a rich group of speakers, and we will, there are timing for each individual speaker is a little bit different. Our outside guests have a bit longer to talk. We're going to start this morning with a sort of an introduction to tuberous sclerosis and again, put a face on that condition.